Welcome to the latest Talking Points with Nolan Dalla. I am Nolan Dalla, and I'm here with you on a special edition. Today we're going to talk about something remarkable in the news. In case you don't know, and if you don't live in Las Vegas, this will be news to you probably. The 2016 Republican National Convention still hasn't been designated yet. In other words, they still haven't announced what the host city will be. And in the past, this is usually a city with, a lot of convention space, a lot of hotels, a lot of things to do, a fun place, a place where the weather's nice, a place that most people want to go to. That's what you look for when you have a convention city. And I don't know, I'm not an expert in conventions, but I think Las Vegas at least has a pretty good reputation as being a popular, let's say a popular resort destination and convention city for a lot of people. But not for, apparently, a lot of people in the Republican Party. Now, this is something that is just mind-boggling to me. If I was advising the Republican Party, the first thing that I would do is to say that you need a makeover. You need to rethink your image. The party has been hijacked by, let's say, people that just don't want to have any fun. And that's maybe one of the reasons why, I'm speaking to Republicans out there, maybe that's the reason you've lost all except for one presidential election. The popular vote in the last 25 years, you carried one election. That was in 2004 when you had the after effects of the 9/11 scare. So, you're 0 for like 7 since then, except for that one. And if I was a Republican, I'd be working on my party to try to come up with a way to redo my image. And maybe coming to Las Vegas and living and going to places like the rest of America goes to, shows, restaurants, and maybe even playing a hand of blackjack or two, having some fun, like the rest of America does, like the states that are the so-called in play, with the middle class, what little money they have left, they like to come to Las Vegas. That's why it's been the #1 tourist destination in this country for years. But the Republicans don't see it that way. According to a stunning report, absolutely stunning. I would think this would be on The Onion or the Colbert Report or Jon Stewart. I would think this has to be made up. There's no way this can be for real. But it's real. And it comes from the Dallas Morning News. This is a reputable newspaper. This is today's paper. Yesterday, 9th of April, 2014. I'm going to read you this, and I'm not going to be able to make it all the way through. And you don't want to hear this story anyway. You want to hear probably what I have to say, and it's probably the same thing you're thinking. By the way, today's sponsor is Francis Ford Coppola. It's nice to have his partnership. He doesn't endorse anything I'm saying, by the way, all right? Just to let you know, I'm not really endorsed or sponsored by the Coppola Vineyards, but cheers. Now, let's talk about the Republican National Committee, the Republican Party, the state of affairs of that party, which aside from George W. Bush winning the 2000 election, kind of winning the election with the help of the Supreme Court, and the 2004 election, the Republicans have come up goose eggs all the way back, dating back to, as I said, 1988, where George W. Bush, the first, waxed, I think it was a Dukakis that year. Anyway, getting back to what the Republicans are doing, they're trying to pick, in 2016, they're trying to pick what city are they going to bring all of their delegates to from across the United States. And in the past, the last 4 years ago, I should say 2 years ago, in 2012, they picked Tampa, Florida. And that was actually a very good choice, and I'll tell you why. Tampa's a nice place. It's also a state of paramount importance politically. because as you know, that's if you don't win, especially Republicans, you don't win the national election unless you carry two states. You really need to carry both of them. One's Ohio, and the other is Florida. And so having the Republican National Convention in 2012 in Tampa was probably a smart play. For 2016, the cities that they're considering are Dallas, which actually hosted the 1984 Republican National Convention that I actually attended. I was a senior in college, and that was the summer. I think it was my senior year. It was the summer. And I actually went, had a media pass, went to the Republican National Convention in Dallas all, I think, 4 or 5 days. And that's when Ronald Reagan was reelected and destroyed Walter Mondale in the November of 1984 elections. But anyway, so Dallas, this would be some of a redo to go back to Dallas. By the way, Dallas is, I don't understand that choice at all. Dallas is obviously a great city and a really good convention city in many ways, but it does nothing for them politically. The Republicans are most likely going to carry Texas, so I don't see, it would seem that if I'm advising the Republican Party, or if they're thinking of a state or a city to go to, you want to go to a state that's so-called in play, like Nevada. Nevada is in play. Ohio, that's in play. Florida is in play. You want to basically create what's called a tipping point, where just enough people, if they like who you are, what you stand for, and certainly getting a national convention exposes people, especially local people, to that party and to its ideas and to its people. Now, as I said, the cities that the Republicans are contemplating are Dallas, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Kansas City, and Las Vegas. Now, I wouldn't think this was a big deal. I mean, especially in 2014. What century are some of these people living in? What do they think Las Vegas? Do they think it's gangsters running through the streets and prostitutes on every corner? Well, there's some of that, okay? But seriously, it's not any worse or better than any other city in the country, all right? In fact, I travel around the country. Most cities are worse. Believe me, when it comes to vice, most cities are worse. And I could sit here and do a postcard for the Chamber of Commerce of Las Vegas, and everything that I say is factually correct. 20,000 Boy Scouts in this city. More churches per capita in the city of Las Vegas. Churches! Not casinos, churches in the city of Las Vegas per capita than any other large city in America. You hear that? Mormons. There's 70,000 Mormons that live here in Las Vegas. You think the Mormons can make it here? That this place is okay? Are their children being raped through the streets? Is that really going on? Is that the trouble? Seriously? What century are you living in, people? Anyway, so there's a lot of people out there in the Republican Party who don't want the Republican National Convention to be held in Las Vegas. Fine. But now they're coming out of the woodwork, crawling out from under rocks, and being quoted in the media, including the Dallas Morning News. Listen to this. Some of the heaviest hitters of the religious right, surprise, are pressuring GOP leaders to cross off Las Vegas as a potential host city for its 2016 convention, warning putting the next convention in Sin City will harm the party's image and drive away supporters. Harm the party's image? If anything, it'll help it. Are you serious? What does Middle America think of the Republican Party? Seriously, have you looked in the mirror lately? Have you? Gosh, if you show some of these people at some craps tables and having some fun, it might help you. You might win a few votes. Anyway, continuing on. The leaders, the religious leaders, surprise, sent a letter last week to Republican National Chairman Reince Priebus. Forgive me, I don't know this gentleman. Putting him on notice that picking Las Vegas would generate friction. They call the city a trap. This is a quote. They call the city, this is in their letter, a trap waiting to ensnare. What could go wrong? The answer is obvious. Oh my goodness. This city, what would it do to these such vulnerable, thin-skinned Republicans? Leaders from the religious right who have joined the effort include I'm not even gonna dignify these people with giving them the exposure of my vlog. I'm not gonna do that, except a couple of people who signed on. Phyllis Schlafly. Is she still alive? Seriously? Phyllis Schlafly? She's still alive? Founder of the Eagle Forum, Andrea somebody, blah 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 blah, and of course, the father of the whole thing, James Dobson, president of Family Talk Ministry. Boy, what a history this guy has. James Dobson is a person who was selected to be on the National Gambling Impact Study Commission. This was a farce, a fraud that was created by an act of Congress to create a study, a commission to study gambling, casino gambling, about 1999, 1988, 1999. And James Dobson, a minister, is put on this committee. Like he has an expert and a clue what anything has to do with gambling or the casino business. Seriously? James Dobson was on a committee to study gambling? Gee, what conclusions do you think he's going to come to? Seriously? And now the man's still looking out from underneath his rock and still trying to influence what's going on in the world. This is what Dobson said. The GOP is supposedly interested in reaching out to conservatives and evangelicals. Maybe that's just a front, but if they really mean it this time, it's not the way we want to do it, Dobson said. Even though Las Vegas has tried to shore itself up and call itself family-friendly, it's still a metaphor for decadence. This is what he's saying. A metaphor for decadence. There's still 64 pages. Listen to this. There's still 64 pages of escort services in the yellow pages. Gee, James Dobson's been checking out the escort pages and the yellow pages in Las Vegas. Fantastic, huh? Don't you feel safer? James Dobson's out there checking through and flipping through the yellow pages. By the way, does anybody still use the yellow pages? Really? Again, what century is this man living in? So James Dobson's worried because he went and he investigated the yellow pages of Las Vegas. And he found 64 pages of escort services. Well, has anybody ever looked at the escort pages, the yellow pages in Dallas? Well, gee, there's 32 pages of escort services there. How about Kansas City? I don't know the numbers. I haven't done the research, all right? But I'm guessing there's a few pages there. Cincinnati, Cleveland, wherever. Yeah, there's strip clubs. There's bars. People drink beer. They play poker. Some people like to have fun. Not everything revolves around Sunday school, Mr. Dobson. By the way, I probably should keep my mouth shut for a number of reasons, but I won't. Because you know what? I certainly hope that these people get everything they want. Let them put this in. Let them hold the national convention in a church. Why don't you just do it in Jesusville or Branson? It's the same thing. Just do it in some place that's, remember when Jim and Tammy Baker, they used to have that religious theme park in North Carolina or something? Why don't you put it somewhere like that? And that way everybody can go and have fun and read the holy book and do the, drink milk and cook. I mean, great. And I'm all for those things. I really am. But don't try to impose those things on other people and try to say that your party is subject to decadence by coming to Las Vegas, where only 40 million people came last year, and the year before, and the year before that, and they stayed at the hotels, and some of those people are conservatives, some of those people have families, some of those people are even good people, honest people, working people, and they come to Las Vegas, and they don't get into trouble, and they're not bad people. Mr. Dobson. Sick. Just disgraceful. I'm not finished yet. Las Vegas host committee, there's a host committee that's trying to bring the Republican National Convention to Las Vegas, made a pitch for the 2016 convention, and they emphasized the city's number of hotel rooms, 150,000, more than any other city by far, 150,000, Golf courses, 50. There's 50 golf courses. I didn't know that, by the way. I knew there's a lot. And places of worship, 531. More than any other city that's on the list. 531 places of worship. Mr. Dobson, gee, on Sunday morning you'll have a place to go to church, okay? The potential for viral video of delegates engaged in hangover-style hijinks makes some party insiders nervous. Hangover's that movie, I think, where these... it was a bachelor party, and they filmed this movie here about the getting into trouble, and they do all these crazy things, whatever. It's a movie! It's a movie! All right. When Vegas boosters made their pitch to the RNC, former Nevada Governor Bob List acknowledged such concerns. "We took it head on," he said. "Las Vegas is a metro area of over 2 million people. We're not all just blackjack dealers and pawn shop operators." Yeah, that's what they think. And I understand that. You know, I understand people are thinking Las Vegas, it's night, you know, it's like the movie Casino, and everybody lives like that and drives a Cadillac and has a gun underneath their vest and, you know, goes out and gets drunk every night, and that's the thing. It's kind of like New York. Oh, by the way, New York, where like the Republican National Convention was held in 2004. It was held in New York, where there's 5 mafia families, where there's all kinds of things going on in that city. You want to compare New York to Las Vegas? Really? You want to go on that moral compass and see, you know, which arrow's pointing a little higher? Really? Amazing. And so again, I say this, and I could just read this on. Let me see if there's anything else in this thing. Oh, by the way, as far as this thing, this whole myth about a national convention, what does it do for an economy? And you're going to hear all these boosters and all these Chamber of Commerce and people in the city council, and they're going to say, it'll bring $70–80 million of revenue into the city, and everybody's going to make out like, bandits. Everybody's going to get rich, and the Republicans come in, and everybody has a good time, and everybody makes a bunch of money, the taxi drivers and the waiters, and all this, right? That's a myth. It's a lie. It's not true. It's not. Go back to Tampa and read what happened during the Tampa Convention, when essentially what they did is this. The corporations made money. Oh, yeah, if you had the Marriott, and you own the Sheraton, and you own big chain restaurants that cater to these power brokers, you made out well. But if you're a family restaurant, if you're a small business owner, here's how Tampa was. They closed off the cities because basically for security, they basically take the whole area and they make it into a war zone. They put fences up, block it off. They don't let people in. And so there were whole streets. Go back and look and read it. Whole streets where businesses were thinking, we're going to get all these Republican delegates and convention people, and they're going to come and they're going to eat our food, and they're going to drink, and they're going to have a good time, and we're going to make a lot of money. And then those restaurants were empty every single night of the week. They were empty, all of them. They didn't have anybody there because the streets were blocked off. And there's plenty to eat. There's plenty to do at the convention center. They don't go out to Tampa and they go around to the small businesses and help those people. They don't do any of that. They go to the Marriott. And they go to big restaurants. Seriously, look. Come on, people. Are you serious? Really? And they'll do the same thing here in Las Vegas. The big hotels, like Sheldon Adelson's Venetian, they'll do very well. All the big places will do well. And by the way, they'll do well anyway, because Las Vegas is filled here year-round. We always have conventions. We don't need Republicans. Come on. So as far as this lie about it brings $70 million, whatever the number is, I think I've heard $70–80 million in additional revenue to a community. Again, it's as though, gee, all those hotel rooms, they wouldn't be sold. There'd be nobody visiting the city of Tampa or Dallas or Las Vegas if it weren't for the Republicans to come on the white horse to the rescue. That's really the mindset here. It's hard to believe. This is the prevailing attitude. So I say this, and I say this now. Republicans, we don't want you. We don't need you. Take your little circus act where you discriminate against people where you discriminate against people, where your national platform doesn't give people the right to marry who they want to. Your national convention says that. You discriminate against people and you inhibit their freedom and their right to be happy and their right to marry. And your national convention bans online gaming. It's in the language of the party platform, the RNC party platform. Read it sometime. It's scary. You would think this thing's out of the 50s. You'd think this thing's out of the 50s. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about the 1950s. I'm talking about like the 1750s. That's where this thing is from. They're against minimum wage. They're against people making a livable wage to earn, where people can't go out and work for, they've got to work for $7.35 an hour, whatever the wage is. They're against that. Not a single Republican voted for raising the minimum wage. Not a single one of them. That's shameful. That's the Republican Party. How about equality? How about economic opportunity? How about bringing the troops home? How about having an honest dialogue about the Middle East instead of this one-sided dog and pony show we've been putting up for the last 60 years? How about looking at everything again and saying, let's start with a clean slate and look at it. And let's see where the Republicans stand, and let's see where everybody else stands. And the Democrats don't have a lot to be proud of either, by the way. They don't. But at least they're not the Republicans and have some of that language that's just absolutely disgraceful. We don't want you in Las Vegas. We don't want you here. Take your act somewhere else. Go somewhere else where your little show will go over. It won't go over here. We don't want you, all right? Stay away. All right, so that's it for now. Let's see what happens. The Republican National Convention, they're going to announce in the next few days who will be the 2016 host city. Dallas and Las Vegas are reportedly running neck and neck for the top spot. Although it's interesting, Cincinnati and Cleveland, that actually would seem to be a wise choice when that's Ohio's really important. But who in the hell wants to go to Cleveland? All right, seriously, Cleveland? Gee, Las Vegas or Cleveland? Las Vegas or Cleveland? Really? But my thoughts are, James Dobson, please, please. I'm not religious, obviously. I pray to you, keep doing what you're doing. Keep talking the talk. Keep walking the walk. Keep doing what you're doing. You're dragging this party into the ground, and they're going to keep getting their asses kicked. You're going to keep taking it in the shorts. Election after election after election, because nobody's buying the snake oil that you're selling. Nobody. Except your own little band of narrow-minded followers who are afraid to enter the 21st century. And it's beautiful. It really is. I'm over and out. I'm Nolan Dalla. We'll see you next time.